All right, welcome everyone. I excited to be here with you today. This is session. If you were in the last session that we did in the Advisor Growth webinar series, this session's really kind of a piggyback on that. And when I was talking about setting proper client expectations and why that's so important, and really creating efficiencies and things in the business, but more importantly, just in the global relationships with clients. We talked about a lot of process, as it related to that and why process is so important when setting expectations. And so today, we're going to really just look a bit more at process and dig into process a bit to, kind of show how, just having a lack of process or processes inside of your business has a dramatic impact on business growth. In fact, what we would say is it actually stunts business growth, your ability to really grow and break through to the next level. And listen, when we talk about process, we're dealing with clients that are single sole practitioners and, and very large teams, 30, 40 person teams, right? And so you look at it a little bit differently, but the model is the same. There's more people, and that just brings more complexity in things because you've got levels and chains of command and reporting structures and things of that nature in a larger organization and team. But at the end of the day, if you're a sole practitioner, processes maybe it's not less important. It's just as important. I would argue in some ways, the fewer the team, the more important process is, because you only have so many people, right? Like, being efficient with your time and what you do and how to deliver on that really matters, when again, you're dealing with, a very small team. So I'll just share some of the aspects here of what I wanted to talk with you about today. And oh, sorry, that's not the right thing. Let me share that. There you go. All right, good. Michael, you see that? That looked fine?
Yep.
All right, super. So, I mean, really, when we look at this, it comes down to, at Legacy and in our vernacular, we basically frame around these 4 decisions, right? You've heard me talk about them before. Agree to meet. We have to get agreement to engage. We have to get commitment to their goals and priorities. And then we have to get commitment to implementation, right? Those 4 decisions, the process is driving the behaviors in the people, right? So that the things we're doing and saying are driving the ability for your clients or potential clients, right, to be able to make those key decisions and to be able to navigate through your process. So if we look at decision 1 and 2, those are really prospect facing. So we want to make sure that we're having good initial conversations so people agree to meet with us. And then when we have that first meaningful sit down, you might call that a sales approach meeting, an approach meeting, a fact-finding meeting, a sales meeting, whatever you call that, but the first meaningful time to sit together to find out if we're a right fit and to hopefully, for them to become a client, that's we're still dealing with prospects. So decision 1 and 2 are about turning prospects into clients. Decision 3 and 4, these are now clients that we're trying to help make important decisions so that they can get, what they want in life from their finances and things of that nature. So it's I maybe haven't said that recently, and that's a different way to look at it. When you split the 4 decisions, the first 2 are prospects. The second 2 are really now those are clients. And so those decisions are more about getting clients to take action and to implement. But we're in many cases, we're coming into a lot of businesses where, again, big or small, the consistency of processes around these decisions, or in their world, maybe around the meetings that they're running, is very loose. Not a lot is that we're seeing is being replicated, over and over. Like, what they say when they meet new people is inconsistent all the time, and how they run an approach meeting is inconsistent. It's changing all the time. Well, this one was different, or this prospect was different than the last one. The reality is that the way that you run a meeting and the way that you prepare for a meeting ought to be consistent, regardless of who you're sitting in front of, right? It's the way that you create an experience, the way that you tell a story. Now, there may be different areas that you hit on if you're dealing with a business owner versus an individual, but at the end of the day, you've got to systematize what that first meeting looks like and how it flows and how it runs. If the main goal is to make sure that you're converting a prospect to client in that meeting, it's critical that once you get that formula down and you've got the vernacular down, you've got the flow and the meeting down that works and is driving meaningful results for your business, that you don't veer away from that. Why would you ever, right? And same goes for every other aspect of the process. So we need to standardize it so that we can get others understanding it and others behind it and following it. I think one of the other things that I'll share with you just on this front around process and the importance of it is, how do you add new people into your business, right? We do a lot of hiring with and for our clients, and and we could do a session just on that. But a lot of the people that you're hiring into business need to know, how do you do what it is we do here at XYZ company, right? And so what's the learning path? What's the training path, right? What's the process we follow? How do we do things? And sure, there's no doubt that there are aspects of your business and how you do things in certain roles, right, that has consistency. But what we're talking about is, how do you pull all that together into what we would call the client journey, right? It's the kind of, again, even expanding on it, it's the prospect to the client journey, right, in that transition, that we want to have consistency around that and really hammer that home and find the right approaches that work. And once they work, while we might make minor refinements and adjustments over time, when we find the formula, that we don't want to defer from that. We don't want to deter from that, I should say, rather. But this is the kind of work that we're really getting into doing, again, with firms big and small. And obviously it's a commitment from you in that process, as well as from us. And so we do it through our coaching engagements, but we're getting in and building all of these steps and pieces together, in those situations. But again, when we look at that whole client journey and the client experience that many would call it, again, for us, that's process. That's about building consistent, replicatable systems and processes to run and operate your business. Now, the second component that we're spending a lot of time working on, and again, you've seen me talk about this and present on this, but it's important to talk about it today in relation to process, right? Because you can have the greatest process, but if you don't have the right people in the right seats, or sometimes it's enough people in seats, right? It can break down in many, many ways. We see this far, far too often. And so we bring a very simple structure. Our clients love it when we talk to them about the financial advisory organizational structure and chart, right? We call it. But this isn't like a Fortune 500 or 100 company, right? These are entrepreneurial, living and breathing, right, organizations. And it's important that, again, big or small, that we've got clear lines of operation as well as organization, right, around that operation. So for us, it's very simple. There are two primary objectives in that business. We need people producing new profitable business, and we need operations actually implementing in that business, putting it into action, putting it in place, and also servicing and making sure that those clients are doing the right things. And then, there's compliance, and then there's marketing, and there's a lot that goes on in operations. The thing that we've figured out, however, is that so many of our clients, the advisors, many times the ones who started their organizations, their firms, they're in lots of different roles, right? When you look at the business organizationally, some days they get to be in the production role. Other days they get to be in the middle in the operational lead role, meaning following up on, hey, how are we doing with that investment proposal, or where are the Joneses in the underwriting process, or hey, how's that plan coming along, or whatever it might be, right? Like they're leading their operational team and trying to find out what's going on. But in many ways, in many cases, many times, a lot of our clients are actually in the weeds of operations. You know what? I'm just going to put that proposal together. I'm just going to do the plan, or I'm just going to call that underwriter myself, or, they're calling back servicing clients in different ways, or whatever it might be. And so when you look at the inefficiencies that come from that, when one day somebody who's responsible for bringing in new profitable business into the business is sometimes in production, sometimes they're an operational leader, and sometimes they're in operations, you already can understand how inefficient that can be and how much that will absolutely stunt the growth and potential future projection trajectory of that business. And I was presenting to a room full of advisors a couple of weeks ago. They were here in Boston visiting, and I'm walking through this and I'm talking about what a typical day looks like, but the way that my clients want their days and weeks to look like. And we're talking through this and I'm giving all these examples. And I had a couple of advisors in the room just blurt it out. They said, are you sitting inside my office, inside my business? And caught me off guard. I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, you're literally talking to me like you're sitting inside my business, witnessing what's happening, because that's exactly what's happening. And this explanation and this model that you're sharing with me shows me why we're stuck where we are in our growth, right? So it really is quick to understand. It's simple. This isn't overly sophisticated. But my goodness, does it make a ton of sense, and does it work when we organize people around here? So the operational leader is a critical role. And a lot of times that's where advisors get stuck in the weeds of being that operational leader in the business. And I don't know that I've had any, maybe one in my career, that were like, not only they like that and enjoy that and they're good at it, right? And they'd almost rather do that than be responsible for producing. That's like 1 out of 10,000 people we've worked with, and that's okay. We just build the business differently. If that's where you want to be and you're good at it and capable at it, well, then we just need to bring in producers. We need to bring in people that can go out and develop business, right? But it's not the case. Many of my clients just want to be, the advisors anyways, want to be out meeting with prospects, meeting with their clients, out networking, meeting with other centers of influence in the community and things of that nature. That's what they do. That's what they enjoy. That's what gives them energy. And when we can create the freedom for them to be in that role all the time, not only are they more engaged and more excited, but growth goes through the roof. Now, because they've played operational leadership roles, it creates challenges for the business, because who's going to do that now? And in some cases, we're very successfully promoting from within, meaning I've got somebody who's been an operational team member on the far right side that has operational leadership skills, capabilities. Some it's really, really clear. Some don't even see it in themselves, but we can help them develop those leadership skills because the rest of the team respects them and looks up to them, because maybe they've been there for a long time, or they just have a very high degree of knowledge and competency and confidence in the business and what needs to happen. So that has to exist, because ultimately an operational leader it has to be somebody who is respected by the advisors as well as the operational team. If one of those doesn't exist, there will be problems. If that operational leader can't walk into an advisor's office and say, listen, you've come out of the last 2 or 3 new onboarding of new client relationships, and in all 3 of those situations, you've consistently left off this, and this. That is completely slowing down our team operationally to deliver, on time, great value, and all of those things. We can't have it anymore. So if they can't come in and have a real conversation with the advisors in that business at any point in time, it needs to be had. You don't have the right person, and you're holding on too long. I mean, you're holding on too tight, holding on to the reins too tight. And the reality is, you'll never get the true growth potential from that business until that changes, right? You've got to have somebody that you're willing to let go of the reins and trust them to run the day-to-day operations of the business and to manage all of those 8 operational capabilities. And so you can see there in my other notes that at the end of the day, that allows producers to focus on bringing in good, new, profitable business, right? Doing what it is you do, what the business wants, what the team wants and needs, right? And then they're also ensuring, that operational leader is also ensuring that, right, that the operational team has what it needs every step of the way to move client engagements through successfully, to make sure we're retaining clients, that we're in compliance, that we're servicing, that we're marketing, whatever those things might be, whatever those things might be. So again, sometimes we're promoting from within. Sometimes there's somebody in that role. Actually, we work with a number of clients when we meet them, and they have VPs of ops and COOs, some of the larger firms, or a director of operations. They have somebody in that operational role, but they've either not empowered them to the level that needs to be empowered, or they are lacking process and systems that they can run and organize this structure around. And so we can help with both of those things, and we do. So anyways, just a bit around this and how hopefully you can see why the right people, the right seats, the right structure is also critical to what I was saying before in the workflow. You can have the best workflow, but if you got people tripping over one another, not being respectful to one another, who's leading, who's the leader in what aspects, right? This can be unbelievably tight, but it's never going to be executed properly if you don't have this down pat. Again, big and small teams, right? And again, today, I have some great clients that are sole practitioners, right? It's only a few, but I wouldn't work with them. Legacy wouldn't work with them if they weren't planning for a future that looks different than that. Their growth mindset, they're entrepreneurial, they have a vision for where they are going to build this with the right team and the right people. That might only be 3, 4, 5 people max, but they have a vision for how this is going to be built beyond them. And that matters. If they don't, it's like, listen, you're just always going to have to do everything. You're going to have to play all 3 roles. It's going to be less confusing, right? But you're going to have to do all 3 roles. That's probably not a great target, client for us. So, but anyways, that's important. And then we look at this again, from a process standpoint. How do we serve clients? How do we stay connected with clients? How do we stay relevant to our clients? Everybody needs to, I would argue annually, but at least every couple of years, be going through some type of a segmentation process so that we can make sure that we're providing appropriate service levels to appropriate profitability of clients, right? This looks at, segmentation traditionally in the A, Bs, and Cs. We have an amazing segmentation process, more of a modernized way to look at it, we call client clustering. So it looks at clients you want to grow, clients that you want to keep, and then clients you want to fix. It's not dissimilar, but putting grades on clients is often, I find it oftentimes a hard thing to be really objective about. And so, looking at people you want to keep, people that you want to grow, that you can grow, and people that you want to fix tends to be an easier, more effective way to look at it. But anyways, like we're just, these are the what we call the touch point plans. So when we look at those segments, how are we impacting them over the lifetime of the relationship? Because we want to all be looking at our lifetime value of clients, right? We want to have an expansive lifetime value of clients. We want them to come and we want them to stay. And we want them to engage generationally over time, right? And it's always easier to keep a client than it is to go find a new one, right? Much more expensive, costly, timely to go find new ones. Sometimes, you can't keep everybody, right? Well, there's death, and then there's just other reasons, right? You just can't keep everybody. So, but, again, this is a critical component of that, right? Once we get the business organized, what's the service level plans that we want to then provide back to those clients? Our one of our foundational premises, and I believe like the most powerful differentiator in the marketplace, is our planning horizon conversation. And it's a framework for what's wrong with financial services and why you have an opportunity to convert prospects to becoming clients. And again, you all know this story, but again, separating the below the horizon strategies, tactics, and tools from the values, the visions, and goals. This is what we do at Legacy. This is the foundation for what we teach. Everybody we work with is strong in the strategies, tactics, and tools, right? But oftentimes they're lacking strategy or confidence or process around the thing that makes them truly different, which is how do we actually help people clarify what they value, what their values are? How do we help them create a compelling, exciting vision for the future? And then how do we align the goals to help them achieve it, right? Our structure, our conversations, our teachings around above the line conversations, above the horizon conversations are better than anything out there in the industry, hands down, right? It's what we do. And again, because the industry is so focused below the horizon, advisors almost always start there. And if not, they're quick to get there because that's where they think it's where they have confidence, because they can talk about that stuff all day long, but don't ask me to talk about values and vision. My goodness. But I mean, I'll talk to about, modern portfolio theory or, any of those types of things all day long, but that's not where relationships are built and developed or sustained, right? And so at Legacy, we're this balance between, you have to be competent, you have to be able to bring the right resources and techniques and things of that nature to serve clients' needs. But the relationship component of that is about discovering what's important to them, right? What matters to them, why, where they've been, where are they going, all of those types of things. And that's just game changing. And to have those conversations fundamentally early on in interactions with people to demonstrate what makes you different from everybody else in the marketplace. People are like, yeah, that's unbelievable. I mean, the silver bullet question I tell everybody is the one thing you need to know when you explain this planning horizon, the fact that you started a different place, right? And the fact that the people that are coming to you have all kinds of advisors, they've had them over the years, they've purchased products, they've deployed strategies and all that stuff. The thing you need to ask them is, how clear and confident do you feel that all the different strategies and things you're doing today, all the advice you're getting today from the advisors you're working with, how confident and clear are you that it has you on track for how you want things to be one day? Is it aligned with what it is you and your family or your business partners value? Is it aligned with the vision that you actually have for the future, how you want things to turn out, right? and just be quiet. How clear and confident are you that those things are aligned? I'm going to tell you flat out, they're not. It's a matter of if they're willing to tell you at this point or not, but they are not confident because advisors aren't having those conversations about the horizon. They're doing it in the context of a fact-finding meeting, right? I'm going to grill you about all of your financials, gain all the knowledge around your financials and things, and then we're going to spend a little time talking about your goals and objectives. Those two things cannot happen in one meeting. It's entirely impossible, okay? Just can't happen. So we separate them. Let's go back to process for a minute. When we think about that first meeting, advisors inherently spend more time, energy, maybe dollars, getting in front of the right types of people than they do preparing for the time when they get in front of them. Meaning we market, we network, we do all of those things to get in front of these right ideal opportunities. And then we have a meeting coming up and we do very little to prepare for that. Because we've had lots of these types of meetings. We know how to talk to prospective clients. We know how to talk about our business. We know how to connect with people. We know how to do the small talk. But I'll tell you that there's a structure and a method, right, for consistently winning. I said it earlier today when we were talking about the 4-decision workflow and all those things. Like, you need to work it, refine it, get it down to a point where it works constantly and drives results. Your sales approach meeting, that first really important meeting, is the exact same. You need to have a flow. You need to have a structure. This is the time where you're auditioning, whether you like it or not, right? Whether they're going to like you enough and they think you're smart enough and that they want to spend time with you and that they want to open up and share about their finances with you. We're auditioning in this moment. And so it's critical that, like, if you were in a play, would you walk on stage without rehearsing your lines? I already know the answer. No way. But we walk into these meetings without rehearsing all the time. How much better could you be if you rehearsed, right? So again, we bring structure to it. We've got all these conversations, again, most of you know that, fully scripted, right? Word for word. And that's to provide you structure, right? So that you can understand it, conceptualize it, and then you can make it your own. But we need structure. We need process. Everything that you do successfully today in life came with structure and process. You might not be able to reflect back on it, but I always use the scenario of tying our shoes, right? Like, once upon a time, you didn't know how to tie your shoes, but today we do it unconsciously, right? But there was a method. Like, we've probably all taught some person in our lives how to actually tie their shoes. And so there's a process by which we go about that. And when you do it over and over and over, right, it's like all of these things, right? Blowing a bubble for the first time, learning how to whistle, again, it's why process is so critical and so important, but we bring it to everything. Engagement agreements, we don't really need to talk about it, but it's just, again, just reinforcing consistency, process, welcome email templates. When we think about process, we want things systematized in the business. We want workflows in the business. When when a prospect becomes a client and that advisor walks out of that meeting, notifies the team and the business that, hey, the Joneses said yes, they're a new client of ours, and here's what we're doing going forward, right? We need to have a standardized process. Who sends out the welcome email? What's the welcome email say? How does it introduce the firm to the client and vice versa, and to the people and to the team that are going to support them and help them over time, right? Standardizing these things is, again, what allows you to grow, to drive, create scale, and things of that nature. So maybe a little preachy today, but I think we can talk about this stuff. I think I could do this webinar weekly, and it would be important too, because there's just so much to do and to think about as it relates to this, but process matters, right? In order to be able to drive significant growth in your business, regardless of the size of your team, the numbers of clients that you're serving, and all of those things, We need replicatable systems in the way that we do things. We need organizational structure around our people. Roles and responsibilities, absolutely critical. Your people want this, right? They want it. They want to know, right, what they're supposed to be doing and how they're doing and all of those types of things. So I hope you found this to be helpful. And again, we're here, happy to have conversations with you about this as it relates to your business, things you're working on. Just let us know where to help along the way. You can always reach out to Michael, and if I need to get involved, he'll make sure that he gets me involved. But anyways, thank you for being here today. Again, I hope you got some more insights. I would expect that you did. And thanks for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And we will see you soon on our next event. Make sure also that you're out on LinkedIn. Sign up, subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't already. We started launching that last month. We just did it again this month. We just put our second issue out, but we're sharing all kinds of insights and things there as well. So make sure you get out, subscribe to the newsletter. And anyways, we'll see you all soon. Thanks for being here today. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye.